The morning sun streamed through the window, casting a warm glow on the girl's long, flowing pink hair as she prepared for school. It was 7:30 a.m., and she was eager to start her day. A smile played on her lips as she admired her reflection after applying makeup. She felt particularly beautiful for this special day. As she walked to school, whispers of admiration followed her. "Wow, she's stunning. Did you see her?" Wherever she went, she drew attention. Guys would approach, asking for her number, but she'd simply smile and walk away. Such an angelic face, a real stunner. Her parents must be awarded from bringing her into this world. She's too gorgeous to handle. I can't take my eyes off her. These were the words that described Karen Noon, who's the female lead of I'll Love You Every Day, the very novel our protagonist had been transmigrated into. It's a book that she picked up by chance, and that very own book changed her life. Even though she doesn't remember how she became Karen Noon, she has no worries or regrets about being the female lead. After all, she knows exactly what's going to happen. She's aware of every plot point, including how she'll narrowly escape a bus accident, thanks to the timely intervention of the male lead, Ji-ha-yu. Karen enjoys the convenience and excitement of knowing her future. A path that leads to a perfect, happy ending. However, today seems to be the last day of the innocent flirting. According to the book, today is the day that Ji-ha will confess his feelings for Karen. Inside the school, amidst the usual bustle of students, a few sickly coughs could be heard. In the classroom, Karen is happily thinking of the incoming confession and how perfect this novel is. When two black shadows, one of them ill and coughing, ask Karen to move her bag aside as they need to go to the nurse office, and she obliged. She couldn't help but notice that most people, except for Ji-ha, appeared as indistinct silhouettes. She wondered if it was a result of her disinterest in them or maybe a stylistic choice, similar to the way characters are often depicted in stories. As the bell rang, Karen stood up, ready to head to the music room where Ji-ha awaited. On her way, she overheard a student vomiting in the hallway, their friends reacting with disgust and laughter. Karen is determined to live her life according to the novel to have her happy ending. She doesn't want to go back to that ruthless job market that has low acceptance rate, exams that need some miracle to pass. A life that seems like there's plenty of choices, but even those seems hopeless. That reading novel in a small room is the only way to escape that reality. That's why she have no reason not to choose the male lead Ji-ha. Arriving at the music room, Karen opened the door and called out to Ji-ha. But before she could finish, she was startled by a sudden hug from behind. A pleased smile crept across her face, but it quickly faded as she remembered that this wasn't how the scene was supposed to unfold. The male lead didn't hug her in the book. Confused, she turned to face him. Ji-ha's appearance was horrifying. Black sclera, red iris, blue skin, and blood smeared across his face and body. She screamed in fright and smashed a nearby fire extinguisher into his face. The damaged extinguisher sprayed its contents as the zombified Ji-ha staggered back up. At the same time, an emergency announcement blared through the school, warning everyone about students attacking others due to an unknown virus. The announcement urged everyone to evacuate immediately, avoid contact with infected individuals which have blue skin, and run immediately if they encountered one, as these individuals were highly aggressive and difficult to restrain. Scared, Karen bolted out of the room, racing down the hallway. Zombies, their movements jerky and menacing, were hot on her heels. She glanced back, her heart pounding. A zombie lunged, its clawed hand grasping her arm. She stumbled, pain shooting through her as the creature bit down. Then, she jolted awake, her alarm blaring. A cold sweat broke out as she realized it was just a nightmare. Relief washed over her until she noticed a small, red mark on her hand. A chill ran down her spine. Everything was real. The realization hit her like a ton of bricks. The day had reset, and the horror was about to unfold once more. A gentle spring breeze filled the music room. The only sounds were the rhythmic thumps of two hearts. A blush crept across the boy's face as he began his confession, "Karen, I." But before he could finish, he changes into something terrifying. The confession is now but a fantasy to Karen, who was jolted back to the start of the day. Fear and frustration etched across her face as she silenced her alarm. The protagonist became a part of a typical romance novel, flirting with the male lead and living the best of her life according to the plot. Today was supposed to be a special day, the day of the male lead's confession. But instead of a heartfelt declaration, she had been met with a horrifying scene of the boy turning into a zombie and chased after her. She died after getting caught and eaten by the zombies. Then the day repeated itself. Frustrated, Karen questioned what was happening. She knew the story by heart, even owning the ebook. Yet, zombies had appeared out of nowhere, a plot twist not in the original narrative. It was even more infuriating because the story had hinted at today's significance, stating, "For some reason, Karen thought that today is going to be a great day. She had a hunch that this day is going to be a turning point in her life." After reading this, she threw her phone on the bed, exasperated by the sentence. But as the ebook hasn't been edited or changed, she thinks that there must be some way to get out of this situation. She pondered about what she should do to the zombies. As her number one priority is to stay alive, she thinks the best course of action is to stay at home. But then a burglar entered her house and put an end to her life. Then, on her second try, she locks her door, but on her way, a light bulb fell on her. The third time, she dodged the light bulb and successfully locked the door, but the microwave blew up when she heated her food. On her fourth try, she got food poisoning because she didn't heat the food. She persisted in trying to stay at home, dodging every death flag, but a new threat constantly emerged. After repeated failures, she's back to the beginning of today, constantly hearing her alarm going off. She grows sick of it. Looking at the bite mark on her hand while standing in front of the crosswalk, she decided to just go to school, as her plan to avoid the zombies doesn't work because even at home, something will claim her life. She wondered why she always returned to this morning. Jiha had called out to her, asking if something was wrong, as she hadn't responded when he called her name. She told him it was nothing, she just had a lot on her mind. Jiha was relieved, as she was okay. Karen might have dismissed it, but the stabbing sensation and the pain of the zombie bites were still vivid to her. As they crossed the road, she remembered a scene from the novel that should have happened by now. It didn't, and she felt uneasy. She tried to ask Jiha, but before she could finish, he was hit by a bus. As people crowded, checking on Jiha and telling others to call an ambulance, Karen was shaken up by what happened. This was the first time she had seen such a thing up close, especially since Jiha was the only person she could see in this world. She ran in desperation. Denying what transpired, she doesn't want to accept what happened to Jiha. Because if he is gone, who will make her happy? Overwhelmed with grief and denial, she vomited in the middle of the road. A honk of a car could be heard, and she too got run over. She came back again to this morning, the alarm going off at 7:30. A saliva stain was on her mouth from vomiting before coming back. Karen grabbed her blanket tightly. "I need to save him," she said shakily, repeating it over and over as despair consumed her. She knew she had to save Jiha and get the plot back on track, no matter the cost. Because if she failed, she would never find happiness in this world. Jiha saved Karen from almost getting hit by a bus, telling her that walking around in a daze is dangerous. This is the 16th time that she's unable to save Jiha. What she learned through these repeated loops is that deviating from the novel's plotline will lead to dire consequences, and that is, one of them will end up perishing. If it's Karen, then the day will just restart to this morning. But if it's Jiha, the day will just continue, and Karen will be filled with this fear of the unknown. And as the story is now messed up, the plot can't go on without Jiha, so she has no choice but to give up and start the day all over again. She has so many questions, and one of them is, where did the zombies come from? While thinking of this in the classroom, an indistinguishable silhouette talked to her in an annoyed manner, as they had already asked Karen to move her bag thrice. She complied by getting her bag out of the way. Her classmates were gossiping about her, saying that she only cares about boys. Another chimed in, suggesting they should cease their attempts to provoke her, as Karen would never change. Silently looking at them, in her thoughts, she wanted to ask all of them if they were in a similar situation as her. Only seeing others as mere shadowy figures, could they truly connect with anyone? Karen even perceived them no different than monsters. Karen overheard the two indistinguishable silhouettes talking about why the other started coughing all of a sudden. The sick one, Shinbi, replied that they didn't know, but they remembered that there's a strange woman on the bus she'd taken that morning. Karen realized that there are plenty of students coughing. She wondered if this coughing was connected to the zombie outbreak. Since Jiha's classroom was near the nurse's office, it could explain why he was infected when she saw him. She rushed to Shinbi, grabbing both of their shoulders, and demanded to know more about the woman on the bus. What did she do, and why was she coughing? While she was urging Shinbi to tell her what happened, a person named Yuri intervened, reprimanding her for her attitude toward a sick person. While Yuri was lecturing her, Shinbi and her companion ran out of the room. Karen swatted Yuri's hand, determined to find answers. The nurse's office seemed the logical place to start, as it was where sick students were sent. While on the way to the nurse's office, a scream was heard and scared students are running away from the nurse's office, inside which zombified students were chomping on the nurse teacher. Karen wasn't scared or shocked when she saw it. She only felt relieved that Jiha wasn't inside. When she decided to get out of there, the door wouldn't budge, as the door was blocked from the outside. The zombies got closer to her as she tried opening the door several times, but it still wouldn't open. Trying to find a way to escape, she remembered the grills beneath the nurse's office window. So she tried escaping by jumping through the window. But there were also plenty of zombies outside. With no way to escape, she banged on the door, asking for someone to open it up. Outside, Shinbi's companion comforted her, explaining that they had made the right choice. While they felt sorry for Karen, they couldn't risk letting the infected out. Karen was a bit frustrated that she would taste the pain and meet her end again here. She'd rather do something first before meeting her end. Outside, Shinbi's companion asked them why they were coughing so much. Their eyes had also gone red. Then a zombified Shinbi bit them. Inside the nurse's office, Karen made a final, desperate move. She grabbed something before meeting her end. As the day reset, Karen's alarm blared, and she was back to the start of the morning. With a mix of frustration and gratitude, she muttered, "Those selfish bastards. But thanks to them, I got a chance to grab something from the nurse's office." She then pulled something out of her mouth. It's the nurse's report paper.